Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen him down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Told him come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, Keith.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot
losing, I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where Bitcoin is dumping, baby. Oh, man, we're going to cover the charts today with you guys. I'm going to give you all the key levels. We've already come down to our first level of support. Got a little bit of a bounce. Tried to catch a scalp long off that. Was in profit for a little bit. Wound up getting stopped out of that. And we have now come down to our next key level of support, guys, which is actually, in my opinion, one of the most important levels on the chart. We're also now potentially rejecting the macro value area, not the macro value area high, the macro 786, which is the situation we looked at yesterday, or over the past week. Looking at that 786 is the key level that we have to get above in order to look for new all-time highs. And if we close that weekly candle below that level, guys, the doorway to 97K opens back up. Once we get stuck under that $105,750 value area high, the chances of coming down to 97K become much more likely. We have the daily red dot printing, the potential weekly red dot printing. What are we looking next here for Bitcoin, guys? Are we going to get the bounce? We're going to take a look, guys. We got the 3-day money flow coming out. Shout out to Darren Does Things. Yikes, yikes, yikes. We're going to cover the key levels for you guys, though. We looked yesterday at the 16-hour red dot with the 1-hour money flow crossover into the red, looking for the drop down through our volume profile to the value area low, and we have come down there. We got a little bit of a bounce, and it did not hold, unfortunately, so we got to look at those lower levels, guys. I'm going to give you guys my overall thoughts on the market. We'll take a look at the higher time frames. We'll take a look at the local levels, and yeah, we might have to deal with some difficult longs here on the way down, guys, because all of the longs below us right now are going to have to be taken into key support, into key resistance, which is kind of a sketchy situation. But I'm going to break it all down for the Mafia. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in and spending your precious time here with the Candle Mafia and your boy Frankie Candles. We got Jay Violet in the chat. We got Nordic Luxury in the chat. Said, what's up, Mafia? What's going on? We got Pennywise, everybody's favorite clown. We got Nate said we have to see panic before a real rally. Shout out to Nate. Maybe it's on the way. Maybe we're going to get some bearish news, but you guys know that 97K target, unless we flip that 786, is going to be in the cards, has been, and will now be if we close that weekly candle below that key level. We got Vegas Call in the chat, said, Frankie the type of guy to study for a drug test. Shout out to Vegas Claw, bro. I actually do have my notes right here for my drug test. So shout out to Vegas Call. We got, let's see. Darren Dustings in the chat. Welcome in. We got Rob the Crypto Snob, Tyler Durden, Crypto Billy, Crypto Anon. You guys know the mods. Show them some love in the chat. Chemistry, bro. You guys know who they are. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. We got OK Breeze. Says, survey says, your survey always has noob answers. Are we plebs to you? Shout out to OK Breeze. No, the Mafia is not plebs, guys. The Mafia is not plebs, obviously. Let's see. We got Eco in the chat. Let's see. Go away with your last chance. Eco looking for 0, apparently. Shout out to Eco. Well, we'll take a look at that in a second. Let's see. Oh, my God. I'm so scared. 97K incoming. Frankie, can I move into your house for this week? Yeah, shout out to Pose. Come on in, bro. Come on in. We'll welcome you with open arms. We got some extra bedrooms. But, yeah, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Rob the Crypto Snob saying, everybody in chat, questioning why we were so bearish. I wouldn't even say I was so bearish, but just looking at that 16-hour red dot with the 1-hour money flow crossover, looking for the continuation down to the bottom of the profile. So I'm going to simplify things for you guys on tonight's live stream. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. Whew. So here we are, guys. Nice little boom, boom, boom. Nice little slam to the downside here. Now, obviously, yesterday, guys, as we pull up our local volume profile, we were kind of wiggling around here. Come up to like the 1 hour here, right? Yesterday was the 11th. We were kind of wiggling around down here below that point of control, specifically looking for a potential lower high to put in a lower low into our key level of support, where we did have our next long setup in the premium Discord, and we did get that nice little bounce here. It was looking good for a little bit, and we didn't even make it to the POC, and I'll use this as an opportunity to show you guys that the volume profiles aren't 100% correct. You know, more often than not, they are like unrealistically accurate. But here's an example, right? They don't come, they're far and few between, so I will show you right now. It is not always that you get up to that point of control. We front ran that level, and then we dumped on out of this volume profile. But guys, this was our next key level of support. And yesterday, with that 16-hour red dot, that was printing right here in all of its glory. We did have that 1-hour money flow coming to the downside, looking to cross over into the red as we were losing that point of control, making us anticipate a potential continuation down to that next key zone of support. And we did indeed get that. Unfortunately, I hate calling for the downside, guys, but if the charts are saying it, we got to look at it. And again, this does not, this dump down does not necessarily have to mean that we're going into a massive bear market. Obviously, I think you guys know that at this point. And I'm going to take a look at the higher time frames with you guys, because we do have some bearish signals as we've been looking at the kind of escape of $97,000, the two kind of scenarios that we've been looking at. Let me pull up our macro volume profile real quick. Obviously, we have the larger volume profile that we've been looking at. We're just kind of still deviating above this. But, the idea here was, are we going to reject our 786 Fibonacci retracement when pulled from the all-time high all the way down to the swing low here, where we got the SFP of about 100,700. This is that area. I'll actually pull it up on this chart because it's a little bit cleaner, right? When you look for those lower highs and those lower lows, guys, that rejection is very likely to come in between the golden pocket and 786. And hopefully, if you've been watching this show, you guys are very familiar with this. But unfortunately, we tried to get out. We couldn't do it. And I will say my kind of sentiment remains the same, guys. If we close a weekly candle below that 786, I will say the doorway to 97K is still open. It is not until we flip that 786 that we can look for those new all-time highs. And it was looking pretty decent there as we were kind of bing-bonging around. We all know that you can lose that 786 on the lower time frames, but typically when you do close those weekly candles up there, you do flip support and then get the all-time highs, or, you're not always looking for all-time highs above a 786, but in this case, that is what it would call for. But now, as you guys can see, we are just, from a very simple standpoint, rejecting that 786. So unless we get a massive push to the upside here, guys, and we get above that 786 before the weekly close in 3 days and 3 hours, the doorway to our biggest key level on the chart here, actually two big key levels on the chart, but the next local one, or not local one, but the next big target, right, this does open up the door. Because if we're going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows on a higher time frame like the weekly or even the daily here, and I'll talk about market cipher B's bearish signals as well, if we are going to put in that lower high, we will be expecting a potential break of structure to the downside, taking that low here at about 100,300 into our next key levels of support, which do sit around $98,000 to $97,000. And we've covered these levels many a times. I don't want to sound like a broken horse. I don't want to sound like I'm beating the dead horse or a broken record. But even if we lose this PLC, guys, we do still have some levels underneath us that we can head towards. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Obviously, when you zoom out on a higher time frame, you start talking about 97K. This is where people start to say, like, what the heck? Why are you looking so low? And, this is going to take some time if we do get down there, unless we get some kind of crazy bearish news or something, which is not impossible. This still does remain, right? The scenario to get out of that situation to kind of avoid that 97K correction is going to be flipping that 786. And right now, we got that harsh rejection. And on the higher time frames, it is looking like we are potentially going to get that rejection, right? So again, unless we get some kind of, we got 2 daily candle closures, 3 daily candle closures above there, or 2 daily candle closures above there. But if we cannot reclaim that level, guys, this is the biggest level on the chart. If you're looking for all-time highs, $109,551 is going to be that level. Now, why am I looking down towards 97K? Why do I think this is in the cards? Well, obviously, as you guys know, earlier in the week, we looked at kind of the mixed signals that we had on our higher time frames. We had the 6-day red dot and then the 6-day green dot printed right after. We also had the 5-day green dot that was printing. Now it's gone. The 4-day green dot was printing. Now it's gone. And we do have that kind of lingering bearish sign here, guys, that weekly red dot with that potential bearish divergence with the higher highs on our price action, lower highs on our momentum waves, which again could call for that bigger correction down towards 97K, where I typically talk about how, that wouldn't necessarily be me calling for a bear market, but just generally it could give us a bigger pullback here, right? And we start losing 97K. We have some bigger key levels down below. I'm not going to cover all the super lower levels today, but, biggest level, if we get some kind of massive dump to come in, is going to be that $98,000 to $97,000 zone. 94K, if you guys are looking for like just a one more target underneath, $94,000, we do have a daily MPOC if we pull it up here. And I'm going to start talking about some of the confluence we have here. We do have support. Obviously, we came down to tap this macro value area high. Technically, this is where that support zone starts. We have a daily MPOC sitting here at 104.5. We have a daily MPOC sitting here at 103.177. But once we start breaking down below there, guys, again, even if we catch some longs, the longs down here are going to be very difficult because we are longing directly into resistance. So if we do lose that daily MPOC, I'll show you guys some more confluence on that level as well. Obviously, that drop down towards 97K is going to be expected just based off of the fact that we will be looking for the lower low on price. You have a $99,500 MPOC here as well. But again, there's some confluence on here. It's not a ton. But once you get stuck underneath this value area high, chances are the next major target is going to be the POC of the range. So, it's still definitely in the cards here unless we yeet on top of that 786 on the weekly candle closure here on Sunday, which again, right now, with the way Market Cipher B looks with that daily red dot, I'm going to talk about some of these bearish signals here on Market Cipher B, which would also align with this now. Daily red dot printing, right? Yesterday we had the 16-hour red dot with the 1-hour money flow crossover into the red, right? Anticipating that drop down to the value area low of our local range, got the bounce. Now we're losing that range. So if we are going to continue that bigger drop, daily red dot, right? When you see a 16-hour red dot with a 1-hour money flow crossover into the red, that's anticipating the 1-hour trend to continue down, which obviously we saw. And then if we go up one time frame here, we now have the daily red dot printing with the 90-minute money flow crossing over into the red, which could be an indication, right, that downtrend, right? You get the low, the lower high, the lower low. As long as this money flow on the 90-minute stays in the red, we could be looking for that bigger downtrend. And I'm going to cover some of the local levels here, guys, but again, it's just a very difficult situation. Any longs here, I already took a scalp long. I was in and out. I got stopped out of the first long, and then I took a little micro degenerate scalp long. I was in and out of that super quickly. But any of these scalps down here, guys, or any of the longs down here are going to have to be treated as scalps until proven otherwise because of that macro value area high at $105,750, right? Anytime we come down and we can't break out of that level, what happens, right? You're looking to get deeper into that profile. And again, even here, we have the money flow coming into the red, making you anticipate lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We got that. It's going to be the same situation here. It's like right now underneath us, this is the biggest level on the chart, right, on our macro value area high. Can we deviate below, get the bounce? We have a 786 and a daily MPOC here, which we barely front ran. We front ran that daily MPOC. You can see we tapped that value area high just perfectly. This is part of the reason why I took that little scalp long on the way to the upside here. Very unlikely you get no reaction at those levels. We had some potential 15-minute bull divs printing. I front ran those, got the little push up, like I said, in and out of that position very quickly. But you can just see tapping that value area high almost to the exact dollar. That is why we keep these previous volume profiles on the chart. They remain relevant even as price action develops outside of the range. At this point, right, if we lose this level, this is the macro range, obviously, but I am also going to be looking at our major range here that we are looking at, pulled all the way back here from about Thursday, May 8th, all the way to right before this big breakout. We could probably start to extend this, if not now, very soon. But that value area high, we got stuck underneath this now. And at this point, guys, the drop down lower here could be in the cards, right? Deviation above the high. Unfortunately, we didn't have any significant bearish divergences as we deviated above here. So I'm not in a short position, which is totally fine. I'll catch that next position. But yeah, I mean, you deviate above the high, get back into your range at this point, right? $105,750 is our next key level of support. Get stuck under there, you're potentially getting accepted into your larger range. But until we start cracking below that, we can also just look at this as our local context, right? If I take these daily MPOCs off the chart, just in general from a simple standpoint, right? Until we get a breakout out of that value area high, right? At the end of the day, we could look for that continuation down, especially with this 90-minute money flow crossover into the red, lower highs and lower lows, targeting the point of control of this range, sitting at about $104,000, which is also complement with some of our next key levels of support. But like I said, I don't think I'm going to cover the super local levels. We do this a little bit more in the premium Discord. I want to try to keep it a little bit more simple on the live streams. But yeah, I mean, pull up those daily MPOCs, right? Like 104,500. Pull up our range here, right? Daily MPOC at 104.5, down to the POC at about 104K. We're also breaking below this anchored VWAP pulled from the bottom of the downtrend. Like, this would be another really big key level to get above. But right now, with the way market cipher B looks, with the daily red dot, 90-minute money flow crossover, we also have the 4-hour money flow starting to crack into the red here, and the dreaded 3-day money flow, guys. Something we have been looking at forever as it is continuously trending to the downside here. We finally are starting to get that crossover into the red. And our 2-day money flow still in the green here, right? So we do still have that opportunity potentially with the monthly green dot and that 2-day money flow crossover, but this is a very high time frame confirmation, right? So you can see a lot of turbulence before that winds up playing out. But locally here, I would say market cipher B looking a little bit more bearish, just like the 16-hour red dot and the 1-hour money flow yesterday gave us the continuation down. I would just say take that step up to the next time frame on the daily and the 90-minute. At the end of the day, 90-minute money flow crossover stays in the red here. Lower highs and lower lows are going to be expected, right? Even with the 4-hour money flow crossover, you know, we get that green dot. Unless that money flow comes back into the green in a big way, still going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows. And using this volume profile, give you guys these levels if you want to get it on your chart. Value area high sitting at about 107,740. POC sitting at about 104,000, and then that value area low is sitting at 102,374. Now, again, with the higher time frame rejection here, if we close this weekly candle down here, guys, I would say 97K. There it becomes like a very, very, very big area of interest for me for all the reasons I just mentioned. I don't want to just repeat myself constantly, but again, you get into that macro value area high. The laws of the volume profile are very, very rarely wrong, although they were wrong today on the lower time frames. You know, it is going to make us look down towards that 97K level. So, and will this make me think the bear market is here? Not necessarily, guys. And the reason for that is because even if we do pull up that macro range, let's say we do get the bigger correction. Let me take these local levels off. Whoops. Let me just hide it. I don't want to delete them. You know, if we don't get the bounce here from our first zone here, right, and we get stuck underneath, money flow continues out, right? We get the 3-day money flow to continue down, the weekly red dot prints, the weekly bearish divergence prints. Could you get that bigger pullback, right? Now, is this bear market territory? Not in my own personal opinion, right? You know, if we do actually get that, right, we do have key support down here. At the end of the day, guys, you know, until we start breaking the 786 all the way down to 82.4, or I should say 82,350, right? That's really the line in the sand. You know, if we do come down, right, we lose that POC, we'll simply, you know, analyze price. If we get the long setups here, we will look for a bounce. But if not, you get stuck under that POC, look for the drop down towards that value area low, golden pocket confluence. Might be a deviation below that value area. This is typically where we're looking for longs. I will be entertaining them at the POC, but as in any volume profile, I'm going to favor the longs at the value area low. But if we do not bounce off that golden pocket, I would really prefer to hold inside this golden pocket value area low zone. But once you start losing that, right, you're looking down towards the 786. Hopefully, we do not have to deal with that situation because once you get down here, it's like, good Lord, that is the last level before we're looking for lower lows on a higher time frame. Not necessarily calling for this, right? But I'm just trying to show you guys the line in the sand that and why I don't think, right, or why at this moment I'm not saying if we come down to 97K bear market, right? On a higher time frame, we've gotten a massive move up of about 51%, right? And if you just retrace to that POC, right, this is an area you could put a higher low in and a higher high. Even that value area low, you could do the same thing, right? Come on down here. Still would technically wick into that golden pocket potentially. Still could be, you know, overall higher lows for higher highs. That 786 is really the line in the sand. But we'll see what that weekly red dot gives us if we print it, guys. But yeah, like that one scenario to avoid that drop down to 97K is looking worse and worse here with that 3-day money flow, with the daily red dot and the 90-minute money flow crossover, the market cipher B 116th bearish setup with the weekly red dot potentially incoming, right? you're really hoping for, if you want all-time highs, flip that 786, get this weekly VWAP to really start cranking back to the upside. But right now, yeah, I would say definitely more things pointing downward for the short to medium term as of right now. So let me come back in the chat really, really quickly. Shout out to Crypto Aussie, said morning. Shout out to Crypto Aussie, welcome in. Good evening from the East Coast. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to New Earth said, we've made like 3 new all-time highs this year, and people are still like, his bull market sucks. Shout out to New Earth. Yeah, I do think this market is starting to behave a little bit differently, just with the big money in it and stuff. Yeah, I think it is. It's behaving a little differently. People are just used to like Lambo candles to the upside with no stop in sight. And I do think, like, again, at the end of the day, guys, we were a little bearish yesterday looking for the 16-hour red dot, 1 hour money flow to continue us down to the local profile. But even here, as I've been saying all week, like even if we come down here, guys, like I'm not calling bear market just yet, right? Now, that is also understanding, right, that we do have the weekly bear div. We have the swing failure of the highs here, which is typically a very bearish setup. It's very similar to what we saw here in 2021. You had the weekly bear div, sweep of liquidity of the high, weekly money flow coming out. It is sketchy. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm not going to lie. It is a little bit sketchy. But again, no rate cuts yet, anything like that. It's still opportunities to get, it might just have a little bit more working out to do here, right? I'm a little more bing-bonging around before finally getting the bigger move to the upside. Hopefully soon, at some point, right? Nothing goes up in a straight line. We talked about this, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green candles in a row. We got 1 red candle. Like, these we could retrace some of this move and it could still be healthy, right? Let's see. Shout out to Jack, said, do you see alt season happening at all, Frankie? When do you think? Shout out to Jack. Timing is going to be very, very hard to call. Everybody tries to get the timing perfectly correct. That's why I tell a lot of people, like, if you're new to crypto, try to have a long-term outlook, right? This is going to make it a lot less emotional for you. I know the altcoins have been absolutely brutal recently, but if we take a look at total 3, actually, let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance real quick, right? As we know, Bitcoin dominance, pull it up over here, BTC.D, right? So Bitcoin dominance, right? We did get the rejection from the 786. This is pretty nice, right? Like we were hoping, right? Just like Bitcoin going to new all-time highs, we had to flip that 786 to invalidate the idea of the lower high. We could say here that dominance did reject that 786. Still the line in the sand pretty much, in my opinion, right? We get above that, hold above this POC. The doorway to the 786 at 66.21% is open. Really what we want to see here is a continuation of this downtrend and a big drop down here on dominance. Once we get this thing to bleed out towards the value area low, closer to about 61%, this would look a lot better for the altcoins. I can't say when this will happen, right? We can draw lines and try to predict the timing all we want. But for all we know, right, this thing could bing bong around here for God knows how long before either breaking up or breaking down. So I really want to see a decisive dump here, rejection from the POC, a nice dumpy move on dominance to indicate that alt season might be nearing us. And this, rejection at the 786 was the first nice sign locally. But we really have to see what happens here. If we pull up the weekly time frame, you guys can see here, very similarly to Bitcoin going to new all-time highs, flipping that 786. If this dominance weekly candle comes up, closes above here, doorway is open to the macro 786 at 66.21%. So hopefully it's not over yet, right? We can hopefully continue to reject this level. I will say this is the zone that you want to reject from. And then taking a look at total 3, I actually think this is on the other chart. Oh, no. Total 3, same thing. Like, I can't say if and when this is going to come up. All we could do is look at Market Cipher B, try to identify the trend, see if there's a high probability of the continuation. But for me personally, it's very hard to call time here, right? The way I do TA. I think in general, any way you do TA or anytime you're trying to predict alt season, right? I always say this, right? Just because something has happened in the past on a certain month or certain timing-wise based off the 4-year cycle does not mean that in different market conditions in another cycle that it's going to happen the same way. If the market conditions look different, the price action is going to play out differently as well. So, key level here, 931.2 billion. That's the value area low you want to get above, right? So you want dominance to dump out of its value area, right? We want dominance to come down to the value area low and eventually lose this. I think that's where you really start to see a real alt season. But until that happens, guys, in my opinion, right, we could see this thing bing bong around. We could see dominance come back up, and it's just not a super confident call, right? We could say that the rejection here is like us off to a good start. And then we take a look here at the daily. We can kind of analyze this as well, right? We have money flow coming out on the daily, which is really nice. This does typically give us dumps to the downside. You can see here all the way back in 2021, right? You get back down to that value area low. right? You get the retracement into the POC, money flow starts coming out on the daily, and then you get down to that value area low. And then here's the reason why timing is so hard, right? You could say, if you reject that POC, oh, beautiful, right? Maybe alts run a little bit, but we don't know how long it's going to do this until finally you get the breakdown, right? But these money flow crossovers are how we can indicate that it might be coming soon, right? So you can say to yourself, well, hey, we got the below the POC, we got to the value area low, money flow is coming out, indicating the overall trend will continue down. And then you could start to say, well, hey, that's where we can indicate or anticipate the potential breakdown of that range and an alt season coming in. And that's, again, for Bitcoin dominance, that's what you want to see, right? We want to see that run down to the down to the value area low. And again, is it going to do this for months? Who knows? But then once you lose this, that money flow starts coming into the red. That's where we can start to say, well, hey, maybe we bing bong around, but that money flow continues out. We can anticipate potentially alt season incoming. But actually getting the exact timing here, I could draw these lines all I want. It's going to be very hard to call the timing, right? If I tried to do that, it would constantly be like, it would be like a lot of other things like, oh my God, alt season incoming. Oh, never mind. Oh my God, alt season coming. Oh, never mind, right? You just have to be patient to let that kind of play out, right? You could have called it here at the top of the value area low, alt season incoming, right? And then everybody gets mad because they're waiting, another 56 days before it actually gets the dump. So you want Bitcoin dominance to dump on out of this volume profile, and you want total 3 to break back into its macro volume profile, right? Bada boom, right? Get back above here, 931.2 billion. And then, as this is happening, right, we see the reclaim here. We see dominance dumping out of its value area. It's like, well, hey, that's kind of like the perfect storm for a potential alt season to come in. So there you go. There's my thoughts on alt season. I wish I could just say, hey, it's going to happen on July, July 15th or something. But yeah. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. If we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream, we will be giving away some Solana on Friday night's live stream. Let's see. Shout out to Pose, says, Miguel, go like 80 to 90% hodl and 10 to 20% trading because trust me, at the start you will lose money. That's the rule. Yeah, shout out to Pose. Could not agree myself, bro. I'm about like 90%. I'm probably that almost exact split between my spot hodl bags and my trading account. So let's see. Yeah, shout out to Nate, said smart money will move to alts when BTC tops, I think is what that says. Not before. Yeah, I mean, typically, guys, in a normal cycle, typically Bitcoin steals the show for a while. And then once Bitcoin, I mean, everything kind of, it is kind of like all rising tides lifts all ships situation. But at the end of the day, it's typically when you get like the big moves up, you get the consolidation, that's where the alts start to run up, or even when Bitcoin starts to pull back. But really, dominance and total 3 are really the things that I'm going to be looking at. Another thing you could look at as well is going to be the Russell, right? We've taken a look at this many a times. If you take a look at the Russell, like we really need this to break out too, right? This is another condition that's been met in almost every other alt season. This is basically like the alts of the stock market, right? These are like the lower cap stocks, right? So when we start to see that breakout, that's typically when you see alt season as well. Something I keep an eye on. I don't look at this every single day, but it is a really nice indicator to see, when you might start to see those altcoins run. So yeah, and then the ticker on that, if you guys want to keep an eye on it, is just RTY, right? US Russell 2000. So there you go. Let's see. Yo, shout out to JP. Yo said July 15th it is. I'll mark it on my calendar. JP, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Let's see. Indian Martini says, Frankie, call your buddy Jerome and tell him to start QE for us. All our problems shall be solved. Yeah, I tried to call Satoshi last night, guys. He hung up on me. I think he's sick of my requests. He usually helps us out, and he's just like, you know what, dude, screw you. I'm done with your requests. So I'll try him again in a couple of weeks and see if we can get this thing to pump back up. Yeah, and shout out to Finos, I don't know if I said that right, said it's not going to happen until we get QE, another condition that's met when we see alt season. So yeah, 100%, I would have to agree with that as well, which is kind of what makes me think, right? This is kind of my thesis, right? The reason why I'm saying like maybe the cycle, very likely the cycle's not over, is we haven't seen rate cuts, right? Even if things get very scary, all it takes is rate cuts, and then things change very quickly, and that's when you start to see the banana zone, or the real explosion to the upside. So unless this cycle, which I do think it gets more likely and more likely every cycle that goes by, unless we see this cycle completely change and completely shock everybody, which is possible, I would say, if we had gotten rate cuts, right, and we're starting to top out here with the weekly bear div, the money flow coming out on the 3-day, weekly money flow attempting to come out, starting to come up here again. If we had all these bearish signs, guys, after rate cuts, it's like, well, hey, I mean, they're pumping liquidity. We pumped a little bit, and like it would be a little bit sketchier, right? But that main thing that we need has not happened just yet. So it's kind of part of the reason why I'm saying, you know, not just from that perspective, but also a technical perspective, right? Like, you can get pretty scary here, and then all of a sudden they start printing money, right? And they start cutting the rates, and then boom, you get the explosion to the upside that you're waiting for, and it's not where you want to get bearish. Very similarly to this pullback, right? This was not where you wanted to get bearish, and I screamed for the rooftops, trying to protect the mafia, and I think a lot of you guys get it. You know, we came down to key support, massive bullish confirmations, right? Like, not the place to get mega bearish. Even if this was looking likely to be the bear market, you have to wait, in my opinion, for those retracements. If it looked super bearish at that POC, I would have been screaming from the rooftops, yikes, guys, not looking good. And it would have likely put in a lower high and a lower low, right? But that wasn't the case. We had daily money flow coming up. Once we got up there, right, it was impossible to call down here, but once you get up there, right, daily money flow in the green, that looks bullish. Continuation of the upside's likely, and you're looking at your volume profile saying, well, hey, we got above the low, we went to the POC, money flow's coming into the green, continuation up would make sense to get above the POC, go to the value area high, and we did see those all-time highs that we were looking for. Granted, they were pretty lackluster all-time highs, right? Just squeaking above that level for another SFP. But that's pretty much what we're looking at here right now, guys. So major ranges to look at. Right here. Value area high, we're pretty much getting accepted into this level right now with money flow coming out. So if that trend is going to continue down, just like I showed on the daily with the move up, money flow continues out, back inside your area of value. Your next magnetic price is down here at the POC at about 104K. Lower highs, lower lows. This would be the anticipated volume profile that I will be watching, right? And then once we, you know, at that point, we come on down to this POC, you're saying to yourself, well, hey, we're also potentially getting accepted inside of our macro volume profile, which is what would call, right, not being able to get it back above this level, which is what would call for a potential drop down to $97,000. And again, not bear market territory, right? But, you know, sometimes you might just need a little bit more bing bong before we get the real bing bong. So, yeah, let me jump into chat here real quick. Yeah, shout out to Runners for Nerds. You tell them, Frankie, don't sell your BTC at 53K. Yes, I would not. I would never sell my Bitcoin at 53K. Even if I was, like, round tripping for some reason. It's like, it also depends on what your entry price is. Like I said, you know, I'm in a pretty cushy position here with my entry on Bitcoin, right? Like, that's why, you know, this pullback was much more, I was able to see this from a much clearer lens, right? Because I'm not panicking on my spot bags. My spot bags were bought down here. So I'm not in like a massive drawdown here, right? I just went from massive profit to slightly less massive profit. So you can kind of see it a little bit less emotionally when you have a better entry, right? But, you know, if you buy up in here, that gets, you know, that pullback gets very, very scary. And that's why I try to like give people my clear view of like, hey, from a technical perspective, guys, from a binary perspective, all emotions out, right? This higher low and higher high was likely, right? Not only market structure wise, but Fibonacci wise, we came down to that key level with bullish confirmations. So, yeah. And, you know, when in doubt, zoom out, right? Like this pullback that we're seeing right now, it's like, it really is funny. It's like every time we get a pullback like this, it's like people come in 10K incoming. And it's like, I mean, listen, not possible, but, yeah, it's just like, I mean, look what you're saying, right? It's just like a little blip on the map on the higher time frames, right? And then when I'm talking about drops down to 97K, I'm like, God, if you think that's calling for 10K, like how are you going to feel down here? And that's how you can get caught on the wrong side of the trades. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Hugo said, is the green dot on the 15-minute and the money flow crossing up into the green on the 1 minute a market cipher B 116 strategy? Yes, technically it is. Technically, I guess it's a 1/15th strategy, so you technically have to look at the 16-minute, but I do use that, right? When you get a 15-minute green dot and a 1 minute money flow crossover at the same time, that is technically a market cipher B 116 strategy, but I wouldn't say that calls for a massive move up, right? It's a very low time frame, and right now, we are showing weakness, right, with market cipher B, just the general downtrend here, so I would be careful with that. And like I said, the little scalp long that I caught here was on the tap of the value area high, trying to front run this little 15-minute bull div that we were attempting to put in, right? And I caught it, right? The 15-minute bull div printed. I was in and out of that trade very, very quickly, just trying to catch that little bounce, trying to front run the bull div. Very dangerous situation, but again, in and out, looked at as a very small scalp position. So yeah, and we are just continuing to push down deeper into our zone here, guys. So keep an eye on these volume profiles. Value area high 1077, POC 104, value area low 102,357. And I would say if we come all the way down here and you do not get a bounce, remember, pulling your fib from the swing low to the swing high, your 786 is almost perfectly confluent with that value area low. This would indicate, right, at that point, right, there's many other reasons, right? You're below the macro value area high at 105.7, right? Money flow's coming out, etc. But, you know, once you lose that, like this is your chance locally to get that bigger bounce, right? You start losing that, that's where the doorway really opens up to 97K, right? Many things. Let's see. Shout out to Vegas Call. Said, grazie. I owe you an Italian ice. Shout out to Vegas Call. I don't think he's talking to me, but shout out to the Italian ice. Fun fact, guys. I used to work at an Italian ice place. Ralph's Italian Ices. Good Lord. The best Italian ice you'll ever have in your life. You got to go out to Long Island or Staten Island to get it. But anyway, shout out to Mike. Shout out to Mike Via Piano. Shout out to Mikey. What is going on, bro? Thank you so much for that super chat. Said, learned more from you than courses I've paid for. Shout out to Mikey. Let's go, baby. Said, I'm in a 2x ETH trade from 27.7 down 6K already. Should I cut my losses? Long term was my goal. Shout out to Mike. I appreciate the super chat. I will take a look at ETH right now, and I can't tell you whether to hold it or sell it. I'll give you my thoughts on where I think price is going next. I'll give you the key levels. You're going to have to make that decision yourself. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'll give you my TA on it. And shout out to Mike. Bro, we give out that free value here. This whole channel is built off of free value. And yeah, shout out to you, bro. I'm glad it's working out. I'm glad it's working out, other than the ETH trade. But yeah, I'm glad that you're learning a lot here. Shout out to Giga Longbottom. Said, I'm just not sure about people named Ralph. I've never met a person named Ralph. I literally do not think I've ever met a person named Ralph. So if your name is Ralph, drop it in the chat, guys. Shout out to Darren Does Things. Said Nirvana, same. I'm dead inside to price action. Yeah, shout out to Darren. I would agree with you, bro. I've been dead to price action for a long time. It's like, even when I get stopped out, guys, it's like I literally feel nothing. It's so crazy. It's like, oh, I lost that trade. That's all right. As long as the only time I get emotional about my losses is if I break my rules, right? Because then I'm thinking, like, why did I do that? Is this going to lose me money over time? But as long as I follow my confirmations, right, and I have a reason to enter the trade, just like this scalp long earlier today in the premium Discord, although I did get stopped out, there was a reason for me to enter that trade, right? We got the confirmations. We came down as we expected yesterday, get stuck under the POC, look for the value area low. We deviate below that low, and we did get the slight bullish divergences. And I was even telling the premium, like, they're not the prettiest bull divs in my opinion, right? You do technically have the higher lows on your momentum waves, but they're just not that strong, right? And then you pair that with your 3-hour money flow coming down, your 4-hour money flow trying to cross over into the red, which is it's like, I got to treat that as a scalp until proven otherwise, right? But we got the confirmations, we took it, played out for about 1%, and then we just yeeted on down and continued to the downside. So you can't win them all, right? And I'm happy to share when I lose trades, guys. I don't just like win every single trade. I lost that trade. Stone me to death. I lost that trade. But no, it's obviously part of the game, guys. If you get into trading and you're expecting to never get stopped out or find a strategy that's just going to give you one easy confirmation for a guaranteed winning trade, you're hunting for something that doesn't exist. And I'll be the first person to tell you that, because I hunted for the exact same thing when I started trading. And trust me, it doesn't exist. I tried to take the shortcut. And then I realized the shortcut was the long way. It's the only way to do it. Shout out to Adriano. Says, just dump it already. So the long at 97 to 98K is more assured. Do not want a long at even either of these ranges. Yeah, I would say any longs until the bigger levels, guys, are going to have to be treated as scalps. And again, it's not just the money flow, right? It's also the bearish divergence on the weekly, and then also just from a Fibonacci standpoint, rejecting that 786 is not, if we're going to put the low, like if you're looking at this high, low, lower high, lower low, right? Closing that weekly candle down here would call for a high probability of a break of that low. Not guaranteed, but higher probability, right? Trading's all about probability. So yeah, hopefully we're wrong and we just yeet on up to the upside, but it's gotta bring the information raw and what the charts are saying, and I'm glad I always do that. Like even looking at the 16-hour, 1-hour market cipher B116th yesterday, it's like I don't want price to go down, but if it says it's going down, I gotta be honest, right? Even if the TA is wrong, I'd rather be wrong because the TA didn't play out than just like go with my gut and go against the TA, right? The TA is gonna be right way more than your emotions will be. So keep an eye here on Bitcoin throughout the rest of the stream, but let's go ahead and jump on into Ethereum, or Erythrium, as your grandmother might call it. So yeah, I mean, next target to the upside was the daily here at 28.19, and we did have those bearish divergences. Where we at, right? So you do have the bearish divergences printing here higher highs on our price action into the key level of support, red dot potentially incoming. Listen, if Bitcoin's printing that red dot, Ethereum is likely to follow. And I would just say here, right, like the local levels to watch to the downside here, guys. You know, overall, we're still within our larger profile, right? So nothing like super high time frame to worry about just yet. But you're just rejecting that daily like almost perfectly, printing another daily, literally at that exact same level. So I'll just update that. But yeah, you got the bearish divergence here on the daily. Could call for more upside. Let's see here. Come on, 1 hour. Yeah, you get the 1 hour bear divs with the money flow coming out as well in a company like Bitcoin with that 16-hour red dot that was printing yesterday, giving you the idea that you could get that little continuation down. But the local levels underneath you, major levels I'll cover first, right? Still going to be, this is a tapped naked point of control on the daily. Let me see if we have a new one here real quick. So we do have a new daily MPOC here, so let me mark that out real quick. This one is obviously tapped, so I'll actually just grab that one and move it up to the new one. And then I'll actually drag this level up a bit. So when we look at this, right, you have the, I mean, you're still above the point of control of the range, right? It's okay. You've already gotten a massive move up from the low in April. You know, 108%. Can't be upset about that, right? But if we do continue to pull back, biggest levels of key support, anchored VWAP of the pulled from the high here, right? This was a big level we looked at in order to hold above, in order to get up to our next target at the daily here, right? And potentially the golden pocket daily naked point of control between 3,000 and 3,150. Not guaranteed, but, you know, from right now, you know, hold above that anchored VWAP, hold above this daily MPOC, hold above this point of control, right? This whole zone is an area where you could get the bounce back up, which now we have to pay attention to this daily, but, you know, at the same time, right, you do have the bigger target up here towards the macro golden pocket daily MPOC, right? It's not until we lose, as we've been looking at forever, right? You lose that POC, then we can look down to the value area low. And this is confluent with the golden pocket as well. So, you know, not the worst thing in the world, but you really want to start holding that value area low, because once you lose that range, it gets a little bit suspicious. Are you coming lower potentially? But right now, you know, local support here, daily MPOC at 2461, between 2461 and 2320. Daily naked point of control and the point of control of the macro range pulled all the way from 2021. Show this every day. The reliability of these volume profiles are gigantic, right? You fill the range to the high, deviate above, get back in, rejection, back to the low, back to the high, deviation, back in, back to the low, deviation, back in. Are we going to eventually make it up to that high? I would say the doorway is still open as of right now. Nothing to freak out about just yet, as we're still inside of that macro range. But locally, you know, more downside might be ahead, right? We have the daily red dot printing. Let's check that 90-minute money flow. 90-minute money flow on the way to the downside, right? So if we do come back up, any bounces here have to be looked at as lackluster for lower highs and lower lows. You could also, more locally, you could pull your range that we've been in here for quite some time. Let me actually pull the previous range, see if that changes things. Not really. So I'm just going to pull this to the current price action. So, yeah, I would say, you know, you get stuck inside this range, right, with the money flow on the 90-minute daily red dot. Overall anticipation would be lower prices. And then with this daily MPOC and the anchored VWAP, you have some nice confluence down here. So could just potentially look to continue to trade that range. We've said this like every rotation is like, okay, you deviate above the high, you get your bearish divergences back into the range, back to the POC, back to the low. You get the bullish divergences at the low, right? Undervalued price, look for the POC, the value area high, get back in, back to the low, back to the POC, back to the high, deviation, back in. So we get stuck in here, right? With the way money flow looks, we could continue that move to the downside towards that value area low, anchored VWAP daily MPOC. We start losing that. POC is your last level before potentially coming back down to about $2,100 to $2,000. So there you go. That's what I'd be looking at. POC sits here right now, which we are pretty much bouncing off of at about 26.13. So yeah, that is what I'd be looking at on Ethereum. Watch that 90-minute money flow crossover for the continuation down. And I don't show this to be like, hey guys, look, what we looked at yesterday, we're always right, we're always right. It's never about that, guys. It's just showing you that the TA plays out, right? Yesterday was that not only the 1 hour money flow crossover, I like to focus on the education a lot here to help you guys actually become better analysts and better traders. Not only did you have the money flow crossing into the red on the 1 hour with the 16-hour red dot, but you're also getting stuck under that POC. So you have two things, right? Two biases there, right? You're saying, well, hey, if we get stuck under here, I'm expecting the value area low. If the 90-minute money flow crosses over, I'm looking for lower highs and lower lows, which we got, right? And it will very oftentimes play out like that. Not 100% of the time, right? You're going to go back and back test this stuff, right? We talked about that yesterday. I even went into bar replay mode and started back testing it. I think, was that yesterday? One of these recent streams. So yeah. Same thing over there on Ethereum, right? 90-minute money flow crosses over, likely going to continue the downtrend back to our big zone of support. Lose the POC, down to the value area low, I would look, / golden pocket. So there you go. And then looking at the weekly, you have the weekly red dot continuing Weekly VWAP continuing to that zero line, looking for the red dot. If that prints, you know. The reason I don't like this is because weekly money flow is in the red, right? Now, on the altcoins, even Ethereum, the weekly money flow does oscillate a little bit more on Bitcoin. The weekly money flow crossovers into the red on Bitcoin typically indicate incoming bear markets. On the altcoins, it does oscillate a little bit more. Ethereum a little less than the other alts. So, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We got to watch that. I mean, 2-day money flow still in the green here. Hopefully, I mean, if that fakes out, guys, still a little bit, right? Like, still a little bit interesting here that the 3-day money flow is crossing into the red. And these other, the 2-day back in the green, yeah, you do have some mixed signals there, but I would say that 3-day money flow, you know, it's kind of what happened back here. We came back to the bottom of this range, right? 3-day money flow crossover into the red. We got one last dump to put in a higher low right into that 786 golden pocket. So it's like money flow comes in the red. It's like, right? But you put the higher low in, and then you get that continuation of the upside. Money flow comes back into the green. So I wouldn't say 3-day money flow is as bearish as the weekly money flow. But yeah, it is potentially that red dot is incoming on Ethereum with money flow in the red. So we'll see what happens, right? You got support down below, and there's always new information on the chart, right? What does price look like? If we get down here, what does it look like? If it looks like garbage, we're probably not looking for a massive move up. But as of right now, you can come back down and retest that value. Right? You get above the POC here, back down to retest the value area low, right? Or I'm sorry, above the POC, back down to test the low before eventually continuing to move to the upside. So that value area low is like the biggest level to hold overall. But locally, POC, daily MPOC, and then that overall uptrend anchored VWAP. So there you go. Yo, shout out to Crypto Pollo. Let's go, baby. Shout out to Crypto Pollo. Let's get it, baby. Thank you for gifting those Frankie Candles memberships. Let's go. Shout out to Crypto Pollo. Thank you for gifting those memberships. And shout out to J. Cole, Steven, J.R. Ford, or Junior Ford, J.R. Ford, Julio, and Base Bailey for getting those memberships. Let's go. Drop those chickens in the chat for Crypto Pollo. Let's get it. Hope you're doing well, bro. I miss you, bro. We gotta let me know next time you're in town. We gotta get together, bro. Let's see. Shout out to Kalia, said, Frankie, why are you not entering a bounce at 104,000? It's the golden pocket POC of the volume profile. Is this because Market Cipher B doesn't have enough confluence? So if we take a look at this, let's come back over to Bitcoin real quick. Let's go ahead and hide this. Yo, shout out to Jason Casper. Let's go. Shout out to Jason Casper. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said, man, I'm so scared. I can't handle this volatility. Might have to leave crypto, but actually, I'm pretty bullish. Yeah, shout out to Jason. Me too, bro. Long term, I don't know, bro. Like the chances of the high being here at $112,000. That'd be such a lackluster bull run. I'm in the same camp, bro. I think we could continue down locally here, but I don't know, man. If we come down to 97K, I'm looking for bounces, even if that bigger correction comes in. Yeah, it's so hard to call, like, the, how long is it going to take? How long are we going to have to bing bong around here? Very difficult to call. But shout out to Jason Casper, bro. I am bullish as well. But I would say, short-term bearish, obviously. Jason, do you struggle with this, bro? It's like, I feel like the hardest part of my job is, like, I'm bearish for now, right? Like for the short term, but that doesn't make me think it's a bear market. But a lot of people just think if you're bearish or in a scalp short, right? They think you think it's going to zero. But shout out to Jason, bro. Thank you so much for the super chat. Always happy to have you in here, bro. Let's see. Oh, but shout out to Kalia, right? So listen, I mean, let me pull this up real quick. So on the Malki, like, we're in here, right? We're in the zone, and yeah, it's just, I mean, look at the 1 hour here. We could have a 1 hour bullish divergence. But it's like the 4-hour money flow here, right? Any bounce here would have to be treated as a scalp, in my opinion, right? Because even if you get the 4-hour green dot to print, maybe tonight, I don't know. But even if you do get the bounce here, it's not impossible to bounce off the support. But for like a big move to the upside, if we want to see like a big breakout here, really what we want to see is money flow being in the red, crossing into the green, like we did right here. Right? You come up to resistance, money flows crossing over into the green. Well, boom, then we can get the big breakout. But right now, yeah, I would say you're probably right. I think you're trying to get an idea of like why I'm not that excited about being in here. And the reason is just like the lack of confluence, the slight lack of confluence, right? 4-hour money flow coming into the red, 3-hour money flow on its way out, right? You also are fighting a daily red dot with the 90-minute money flow crossover into the red. So it's not that you can't bounce. It's just like everything is not pointing in that direction for like a super, super nice bounce. So if we do get a 4-hour green dot, Maybe we dip into the 786. We get a little bit of a bounce. I would still be looking at that as a lower high situation for a potential lower low. Could you just, yeet on out? Potentially. But, anything can happen. But for me personally, it's really the confluence here on Market Cipher B. So shout out to Kalia. Hopefully that helps you out, bro. Jason the Plunger Master. Let's go. Shout out to Jason. Bro, you're going to have to send me a plunger, bro. We got to pump this thing or unclog it. Bitcoin's clogged, and it is it's dumped, and it's clogged. Shout out to Jason. He said, I'm going to buy the dip the whole way down and hodl until the exact bottom. Then I will panic sell. Shout out to Jason. That is my exact plan. I won't even sell. I won't even sell at a typical 75% bear market correction if that's what we get. I'm just going to hold it. All right. If we see 10K, buy it again. 5K, buy it again. Shout out to Jason. Let's go, baby. Honestly, I was talking to someone about this recently, right? Like, even if you bought the tops historically on Bitcoin, right? I'll pull up the Bitstamp chart so we get a little bit more price history in here. I mean, dude, it's crazy, right? You buy the top here, you're in profit, right? You're in profit again, right? You come slightly out of profit, but, any top that you bought over time, I do believe you are going to be in profit. Not that I'm telling people to buy tops. Don't buy the top. But it is crazy, right? You hold it long enough and it will be in profit. My outlook on my spot Bitcoin bags have become so much more long-term. Not that I'm looking a round trip, but, it's at the end of the day, right? Like, even if you bought in at the top here and we did go into the bear market from there, it's like, I don't know, right? Just selling the bottom is just, at least for Bitcoin, is at some point you're going to be back in the green, in my opinion, right? Maybe Bitcoin goes to zero, comes out that Diddy is Satoshi or something, and then Bitcoin just goes to zero forever. Who knows? Let's see. Black Swan incoming. Shout out to Knox. I'm not going to lie. We have tried to we have our Black Swan scenarios in mind, which were either WW3 or a massive blackout, which is my other scenario. But again, even then, right, like, this was a very real situation in 2020, guys. Still not the place to sell. Right before you get the big bounce to the upside. So who knows? We'll see what happens. The one thing that I can guarantee you guys 100% is that eventually we will know. All right, let's see. Shout out to J. Cole, said it's better to buy the top than not buy at all. Arguably correct, bro. Shout out to Michael Saylor. He said he'll buy the top forever. He doesn't care. Just don't sell your girlfriend's tops or bottoms. Shout out to Stupid Bitcoin. There's actually good money in that. I'm not going to lie. I've never done it, but I do have some friends that have done it. And not only their tops and their bottoms, but their socks as well. Some dirty socks coming to the merch store from me. As you guys know, I don't ever wash my socks. It's bad luck to wash your socks, guys. But anyway, WW3 scenario. Yeah, shout out to Rap. Yeah, you never know, right? But at the end of the day, guys, even those events typically end up in flash crashes, and then the market winds up rallying after. There's actually a chart. If you Google it somewhere, it'll actually show you. Yeah, it's just kind of like, it's like a Black Swan event for the most part. The Diddy rug pull. Shout out to NS, bro. All right, let's continue on. Let's see. Shout out to Donna Link. I think. Dominic. I thought that was an N. Dominic said, since 60% of the people think it will go at least a bit down, Elon can tweet, and a lot are in the wrong. Yeah, shout out. That's all it takes. That's all it takes is one tweet, rate cuts, one bullish news event, and things change very, very quickly, guys. But again, when in doubt, zoom out, right? Like, it's not even a red weekly candle yet, right? We've seen plenty of red weeks in Bitcoin and still continue to the upside. So just try to remain calm. We'll just see if we get that red dot on the weekly and it gives us that bigger 97K pullback. All right, so let's continue on. We took a look at Ethereum. Let's jump on into XRP. All right, let's pull up the actual XRP chart here. Bada boom. All right, so on XRP, I would still say, right, just in general, not that you have to guaranteed fill this range, but my sentiment remains the same here, right? Like, if we do continue down, pull up the 4 hour here. Actually, the daily. Yeah, you got the daily red dot. Is this a blood diamond? No. Wow, I'm surprised that's not a blood diamond, to be honest with you. Maybe the blood diamond prints on the Higanashi candles here. But, with the... Get market cipher A off the chart real quick. So, yeah, if we do get a continuation down here, guys, right, daily red dot prints, 90-minute money flow. in the red, very similar to Bitcoin, right? Market Cipher B almost looks exactly the same. I mean, I would say, listen, same levels we looked at yesterday. If you want to hold this local uptrend, golden pocket 786 between about, what? Come on. 216 all the way down to about 211 is the place you want to bounce. If you want to just stay inside this profile, continue your trend up towards that POC, potentially flip the POC, go to the high, that's the zone to hold. Once you lose it, you're already very close to the value area low. And because we front ran this golden pocket, which is pulled from the low all the way to the swing high here, if we do continue down, I would be looking at this as potential support. Value area low is always support, and you also do have the golden pocket, which was front ran, right? If we do that, you might be able to print a little bit of a daily bullish divergence here. Now, if we come down there, we have the bullish divergence and all the other time frames, and we have are looking bearish, right? We have a ton of other bearish signs, right? We might not, it's not just like set a limit order here, key support, send it to $1 million, right? We have to assess price action as we push in here and get new information on the chart. But as of right now, if we can try to front run this bull div and we get the drop down to that golden pocket, this would be something to potentially look for. Very similarly to what we looked at recently that I talked about yesterday, right? Or we looked at this, a while ago when we were up here, but we went over this yesterday, looking at those time frames, right? Looking at the 8-hour here, can't unsee it, right? Every time we do this, right? I cannot unsee this. It's like, well, hey, we front ran the value area low. Once this 8-hour VWAP comes down and gives us the red dot, maybe we get the push into key support. And if we do that, look for the 8-hour bullish divergences. Where did we get the next bounce? As we came down, put in that 8-hour bull div, higher lows on your momentum waves, lower lows on price, into the key level of support, tapping that value area low almost to the dollar, and that's where you get your bounce from, right? Same thing here on the daily. Right? Doesn't mean you have to go to $1 million, but it gives you a high probability of a bounce. You're coming to support with a bullish confirmation. You can look for some kind of a move to the upside. And with the daily, right, it's kind of the same thing, right? We front ran that golden pocket. If we do come back down, you could potentially keep an eye out for that daily bull div. Maybe you don't get it. Maybe you do, right? I would say very likely that you'll be printing a bull div here, or at least forming a bull div, unless this wave comes below the previous low, right? Probably very high probability you at least get that bull div to set up. Will it be the massive bounce everybody wants? Who knows? If you lose that golden pocket, your 786 sits down here at about $1.83, right? Once you lose that, that's where things get a bit more bearish for me, where we're looking to potentially come down and retest the value area high of the previous range at $1.66, and then potentially fill that in. I wouldn't necessarily automatically look to go to the low, but yeah, I mean, if you didn't pull up your visible range volume profile here, you could probably see, unless it proves me wrong, yeah, I mean, very high volume node as price sticks around here. Once you break down below that 786, right, or even the golden pocket, honestly, you have a pretty big gap in volume. This is the next place to look, right? Price is going to seek out that fair value. Fair value, impulse, your next area of fair value would be down here, right? So we'll see, right? I'm not necessarily calling for this, right? But it's an if this, then that situation. We might be able to come, get the bounce. If not, 786 is your last chance. And then if you don't there, yikes. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking at on XRP. Let's see. I think this Iran stuff could turn into a black swan. Yeah, absolutely. Timing, I'm not going to lie. If we were going to see a black swan earlier, I kind of there were a couple of times where I low-key thought that we were going to time that black swan perfectly. But I will say, timing is going to be really hard to get. But if we get that black swan, it's like, I kept saying, like, what is this cycle's black swan going to be? Maybe it was the tariffs. Maybe, there were some things that, were slight black swans. But if we get a major, like, C19 type black swan, that could be it. Shout out to Nirvana said, buying tops is the new wearing shoes indoors. Let's go. All right, let's continue on here. Took a look at XRP, Ethereum. Giga Longbottom said, we are predicting when we say we're front running the bull div. Yeah. You're just trying to, exactly. You're just looking to predict like what price action will look like. And again, the best example here is what we looked at the last time we saw that happen, which is the 8-hour bull div. We're saying, hey, and again, the exact thought process there, right? Doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen. No. But when you say to yourself, well, hey, we front ran this support, more often than not, price will go down and test the level. And when you have a setup like that, where it's like, well, hey, this is starting to curl over. If we start to come down and then put that higher low in on the momentum wave, well, hey, we could potentially get a bounce there, right? We were looking to predict, right, that bull div coming in. We're not looking to front run the actual bull div. We're trying to front run the printing of it, or front run the idea of it forming, predicting. Let's see. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into shout out to crypto. Shout out to Chemistry Bro said, yeah, buying War usually ends up being a good choice. Yeah, there's a chart out there somewhere if you guys Google it that shows you like previous times and what the market has done. It's usually like a flash crash and then a massive move up. Is this going to be the one time it doesn't happen? Could be, but probabilities, guys, probabilities. Let's see. Jin said, stop scamming people. I don't know how the heck I could be scamming people. But yeah, nobody bought the Frankie Candles meme coin. I'm kidding, guys. I've never had a meme coin. I never will have a meme coin. I do not shill scams. I do not shill projects. The only time I'll say a project is going up is if the chart says it. And even then, it's not 100% accurate. It actually reminds me. Calling Frankie Candles a scammer is crazy. But it is funny. There was like a long time ago, somebody, we made a Sui video. And somebody like commented and then put a whole post on Twitter about how I was the creator of Sui. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. It was like a whole like board like with like lines connecting. Like he made this video at this time and then Price did this. He made Sui. And I was like, that's wild. Absolutely wild. Shout out to Julio. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He says, when Frankie sees a black swan coming, he captures it and makes some fantastic chicken parmesan with, shout out to Julio. Yeah, we're just going to grab it and we're going to put it in that pot and we're going to let it simmer for approximately 77 hours for the perfect temperature. Let's see. Oh, shout out to Jen. He thinks crypto is a scam. 95% of retail loses their money. I mean, I would say that in any market. Most people lose money unless you're buying like an S&P index and holding it long term. But yeah, shout out to Jen. I would agree with that, bro. 95% of people will not only lose money, not because crypto's a scam, but because they never take profits, right? Now, if you're buying like $100,000 market cap meme coins, 99% of people get scammed out of that. Unless you are like, I say this all the time, right? You have to pick your lane, right? You don't want to do chase the shiny object syndrome unless you're like hopping narratives on altcoins. That's different. But when it comes like for me personally, it's TA and trading, right? And then obviously long-term investing as well. But like I'm not a meme coin expert. If I wanted to really make money in meme coins, I would have to like stop focusing on my day trading and just focus on the meme trenches, which is fine, right? If you do that and you're aware of what you're doing and you're actually experienced and you're in that world 100% of the time, then you can make some real money. But for me to dive into meme coins 100% and get into the Solana trenches and stuff, it would just take away from like the skill that I've already built, right? And it doesn't mean that you can make more money or less money in one spot. It's just like you want to try to stay focused, right? If you start spreading your attention too thin when it comes to like how you're making money, like I have friends that are just like all about staking and DeFi and all this stuff, right? I'm not as much into that, right? Because my bread and butter is the charts. But I would say probably more people are, I would say probably higher than 95% of people lose their money in the trenches unless they are like fully in depth, diving into those trenches every single day. Shout out to Kimberly Bro said, same in the in most classes for most assets. Holding the good ones long enough is where you win long term. Exactly. Crypto being a scam in general. I mean, I would have never made $1 in crypto if that was the case. And I've never shilled my own coin. I've never taken a sponsorship from a coin ever. If I ever did, which is probably never going to happen, I would fully disclose it. But probably something I would never be interested in. I have a strategy which did work on the last 10 years historical data. Will it work in the future? I mean, that's pretty much what TA is, right? It's basically studying the past and what has worked in the past and, assuming that the future is going to rhyme at least. Sometimes strategies will become less effective in certain environments. But, you just have to test it, to be honest with you. I only trade with my cat on my lap. Shout out to Eddie. Trading with a dog or a cat on your lap will increase your profitability. Not financial advice. All right, so let's continue on here. We took a look at XRP. We took a look at Ethereum. Go ahead and drop your favorite altcoins in the chat. We'll start taking a look at them. And, let's jump back in here. Did you guys know there is a black market for Roblox items? I made I made guap on that. Shout out to Giga Longbottom. Maybe that's the move. Let's jump into the black market of Roblox items, or Fortnite skins or something, or Counter-Strike skins. Shout out to Jesse said PC's got an update. BRB, let's go. Shout out to Darren Dussing says the CandleMafia is not 95% for sure. Yeah, absolutely, that's what I always say, right? Like, if you can make money going down, I don't know how that's not the most enticing thing in the world, right? It's like we're not a slave to bull markets, right? Typically, people come in, they don't come in here. They don't come in here. They don't come in here. They all come in here, right? They buy the top, they get crushed, it comes back up, they buy back in, they get crushed. That's why 95% of people lose money. Day trading's different, right? 95% of people lose money day trading because it's a lot harder than a lot of people like to make it seem. Aerodrome. Okay, so I'll start on Aerodrome, and then Rob the Crypto Stomp will count up the votes and give us a list. Let's do like 3 requests, Rob. Shout out to Crypto Poyo said, would you take a sponsorship from a pizza shop? 100%. But Poyo, the pizza's got to be fire. And Tony is got to be the judge of that. And he's a hard critic on the pizza. But for good reason. He makes the best pizza. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in here. Let's take a look. I'll start off with Arrow, and then Rob, hopefully Rob is still here, I think. If he's not, Darren, if you could do the list, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's go ahead and check out Aerodrome. Do I have an arrow chart here? All right, let's just pull up probably got something marked up here. Okay, so there we go. This is actually a decently new chart. Is this? Oh, here it is. All right, well, shout out to Aerodrome. Let me just get my bearings on what we were looking at here. I mean, come on. All right, well, you got to fulfill the range here, right? This fib was pulled from the higher low here to the high. Looking at this golden pocket anchored VWAP 786 as your key support zone. You have the value area low, the golden pocket, the anchored VWAP. You came down to the value area low, got a little bit of a bounce, swept down, barely front running that 786. But generally, if you're looking for a higher low and a potential higher high, that area is going to be between the golden pocket and the 786. I just like to separate things into more tactical levels. But what happened here, right? You come down to the low, you put the lower low on price action into your 786 zone, lower low on price, higher low on momentum waves, undervalued price as you were outside of your value. You've gotten the full rotation of the profile. This is where you want to look for longs. You get the 16-hour bull div, which is very nice. Did you get it on the daily as well? Slight daily bull div as well. Money flow is now in the green. This is weird. This thing is flying. And then what happens, right? You get back in, you flip that value area low to support, get above the anchored VWAP, retest, right into the POC. So I would just call this a very general volume profile rotation, barely front running that value area high. Or I don't want to say barely. But yeah, you flip the low to support, flip the anchored VWAP into the POC. If you can get above that POC, I don't know why this thing is pumping so hard, but value area high is sitting at about 77 cents. So if you're going to fill this profile in full, that would be the next general target to the upside. Let's pull our fib from the high to the low. Got to be careful here because this is the golden pocket 786 retracement. So yeah, why is this just doing the opposite? Did this get news or something? I mean, other than the fact that it was on the chart, but this is just going against everything. Very interesting. So yeah, you are hitting resistance other than the POC. You have the golden pocket 786, which at the end of the day could put in a lower high before a lower low if this is eventually going to follow the rest of the market. But let's check out Market Cipher B and see what it says. Yeah, you do have the 4-hour bear div into that key level as well. Swept some of that liquidity above these equal highs here. Above equal highs, liquidity resides. Right? So you got the liquidity into the 786. So yeah, I mean, you're definitely at resistance. Based off the volume profile, you would anticipate a potential full fill of that profile. But the reason I'm interested in this potentially being an area to put a lower high in is just because of the way the rest of the market looks. I don't know why this is pumping like this. But yeah, next target to the upside would technically be or next major target would technically be the value area high of the range, but you got to get above that 786. Take a look at the 2-day here. Money flow continuing to try to come to the upside. Let's check the 3-day. 3-day green dot printing. 4-day green dot printing. 5-day green dot printing. 6-day green dot printing. Weekly green dot printing. It's going to the moon, baby. I'm kidding. This is actually very interesting, though. This looks a lot different than everything else. So, yeah, I'm like really hesitant to say that this looks good just because of the rest of the market. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. Your 10-hour money flow looking to cross over into the green with your weekly green dot printing, you got to be careful, right? Because if Bitcoin just totally nukes, it would not be weird for this to follow. But as far as Market Cipher goes, this doesn't look super bad. 8-hour green dot printing, 30-minute money flow. I would look for the continuation up here to the 786 and the potential value area high at 78 cents. Watch for that 30-minute money flow crossover into the green. I'm just like kind of skeptical here just because of the rest of the market. But this does look a lot better than everything else. And nice to see the beautiful deviation below the profile back in. I mean, that would be the overall anticipation there, to be quite honest. But yeah, I would say cautiously bullish because of the rest of the market. So there you go. All right, let's see. Spotify Coinbase partnership announcement. Oh, okay. I didn't know that, but that might be why. Yeah, there you go. Also on the chart though, right? Like deviation below the low, money flow did not. Yeah, that news just helped it through the profile. So yeah, I mean on news, I would also be very careful there. So I would say, chart kind of doesn't look horrible, but I would be cautiously optimistic there with that 786 retracement. Once you break above that 786 though, I definitely, the anticipation there would be a higher high, meaning crack to the upside here. But the chances of if everything else continues to dump, the chances of this thing just mooning off that news continuously as the rest of the market is dumping is, in my opinion, not very likely. So yeah, there you go. Thank you, Ken, bro. I appreciate you for the alt list, bro. I'm going to go ahead and I almost put you in timeout, bro. I almost always do that. We cannot get rid of the mods. Oh, my God. Replacement message. All right, there we go. All right, so let's take a quick look at render. Haven't took a look at render in a while. All right, yeah. I mean, we tried to stay inside this profile, lost it. This looks a little more, this is tapped. This looks a little more confluent with the rest of the market. So, yeah, we tried to reclaim, couldn't make it, got the rejection. I would say your next key level to the downside, let's pull our, actually, let me pull an anchored VWAP from the low here. Yeah, oh, look at that. Look at that anchored VWAP retest there. Ugh. I don't like that we lost this anchored VWAP, right? And then that on top of the fact, daily red dot, 90-minute money flow crossover into the red here, very similar to Bitcoin, right? If you want to continue that uptrend, right, your hope is that you're holding on top of the hope would be here, right, to hold on top of the value area low anchored VWAP to continue that uptrend. Once you lose this anchored VWAP, that downtrend becomes more likely. And again, it is confluent with the 90-minute money flow crossover into the red. Ugh, right? Your next key level to the downside will be, let's go ahead and pull our fib from the low here to the high. I think that is the high right here. So we're hitting the golden pocket right now. I don't love the confluence there. Yeah, you lose that because here's the thing, right? You do have the daily MPOC sitting here at about 336. But once you lose the golden pocket, the chances of coming down to the 786 are pretty high. It's not beautiful confluence on that daily MPOC. Yeah. Oh. Let me see here. Let's pull a more. Yeah, if you pull it from the higher low here, low, high, higher, low, before the bigger push up, if you pull it from this impulse, you get the 786 confluence there on the daily MPOC. But I would say, yeah, your biggest zone that you don't want to lose is going to be, sitting down here at the 786 weekly MPOC. Honorable mention on this local 786 daily MPOC. If you get the push down there, yeah, it depends. I mean, if Bitcoin's going to 97K, right, I would definitely be more looking down here. But yeah, based off the 90-minute with the daily red dot with the 90-minute money flow, lower highs and lower lows are going to be anticipated. This is, in my opinion, the bigger level. There's a weekly MPOC down there with the 786 of the full move. Honorable mention on that daily MPOC. Now, if you do come down there, let's see. Yeah, I mean, potential. Could get the 8-hour bull div there, but again, it's there. I would be suspicious of that level, though. I would say this is the stronger level. 786 weekly MPOC sitting between $3.14 and $2.96, and then the daily MPOC and the local 786 pulled from the impulse is sitting between about 332 and 337. So technically your next key level of support would be here, but I would put more weight on that lower level, right? Once you start breaking that 786 weekly MPOC, you are probably going to be headed towards your previous area of value, right? Price is always seeking fair value. If you don't put the higher low in here to continue up into your profile and you lose that zone, you're going to be looking to come down to that value area high and potentially lower. This would be obviously support until proven otherwise, but you wouldn't want to lose that value area high, in my opinion. Let's check the weekly there real quick. Yeah, weekly red dot confirmed. Monthly green dot coming up. So, yeah, We'll see what happens there. But overall, I would say this looks more similar to Bitcoin, right? So I would anticipate short-term continuation down to those key levels. Not until you lose that 786 zone would I be anticipating a much bigger drop. So there you go. There is Render. Shout out to Boris, said, which platforms do you trade on? I trade mostly on Femex, Blowfin, and Antarctic. I'm going to probably make a pre-recorded video on Antarctic. I always have trouble saying that word for some reason. It tongue-ties me. But yeah, you can check out all the links in the description are the platforms that I use mostly. But yeah, it's going to be dependent on where you live, which ones you'll be able to use. But yeah, you can check them out in the description down below. There you go. Tony dropped the links in the chat for you. Do Orca, please, Frankie. Wow, at Tony D. Is that weird? Do Orca? That's pretty funny. Not that, shout out to Rodriguez. Not that you will know why, but Tony D actually hit me up talking about a potential sponsorship opportunity that he came across, which lines up with this coin, which is really interesting because shout out to Tony D, bro. How weird is that? Never looked at this coin ever. And then like yesterday he brings up that sponsor and interesting. Well, we'll see if we do it. But yeah. Shout out to D Knight says market just wasting time for no reason at this point. Shout out to D. Yeah, shout out to Tony D. That's really weird, bro. Like literally, and it's a whale too, which is funny. Anyway, let's continue on here. Let me just run through. I'll keep Orca. I'll write Orca down here real quick. But I'm going to keep to the list for now, and then I will have this. If we have time to look at Orca, we will. I know it was kind of like a I'm giving you blue candles here for pulling up the chart. But let's see. Yo, shout out to Bullish on Parade said, I'm late, 114 or 97K next. Just give me the Coles notes. Shout out to Bullish on Parade. I would say as of right now with the way Market Cipher B looks and the potential rejection from that macro 786, 97K would be the higher probability unless we bounce off some of these local levels of support that we looked at. But money flow not looking too good right now in my opinion. Smell your socks. Maybe BTC will pump. Shout out to 12 Big. Yeah, I don't want to puke on camera, but I will try that. Maybe on the fake out, we'll take a sniff of the socks. All right, let's take a look at our next coin, which is going to be Inge. Let's take a look at Inge, and crypto's potentially in for an injury here. All right, so here's the thing, right? We got the full rotation of the volume profile, deviate below the low, back in, flip the low to support. Next anticipated major target is going to be the POC. We got it. We got up. Front ran the value area high, flipped the POC, got the final target of the volume profile to come in with bearish confirmations. Higher highs. Slight lower highs here on the 12-hour. Probably got it here on some lower time frames. But we got the rejection, from that value area high. Back down to the POC. We had our support level here. Golden pocket anchored VWAP. Got the beautiful bounce there. However, I would be careful here, right? Just based off of Bitcoin, based off the red dot on the daily, based off the 90-minute money flow being in the red, the overall anticipation here locally would be lower highs and lower lows. So nice to see the bounce off the support zone. Nice confluence there. But the overall anticipation of the profile, get above the high, get back in. POC is next. Eventually, you lose that POC, you might be able to get that full rotation of the range. It's really going to depend on what Bitcoin does here. You do have the 786 sitting just a little bit lower here at about 1025. At that point, you're below the POC, so if you do look for a bounce here, you should be careful because you're going to be below the anchored VWAP. You'd be below the point of control, and with the overall anticipation of that full volume profile filling, you are going against the trend just a little bit there locally. And, just the laws of the volume profile as well. Could you bounce off that 786 and send it? Yes. But again, with the way Bitcoin looks right now, I would be a little bit skeptical there. And the general bias here short term would be continuation down based off the money flow, based off the volume profiles. But it doesn't mean you don't have support down below. So watch that 786 at about 1030. And yeah, at that point, below the anchored VWAP would indicate that the continuation would be more towards the value area low. So we'll see. If we come down there, maybe we'll take a look at this tomorrow if we come down to the 786. But yeah, those are the key levels of support. And the closest level right now will be the point of control of the range. This golden pocket is tapped, so I'm actually going to take this off the chart. Not that you can't respect it again, but typically once you touch it, it's really kind of like giving you all it's got, in my opinion. More often than not, that is the case. So, anchor POC sitting at 1189, anchor VWAP at 1118, and then below that, 786 to 1026. Lose that 786, looking down towards that value area low. All right, let's see. That range on INJ is money. Yes, local range is not too shabby. Locally, you do have a nice, clean little range here. Below the low. Nice bull divs there, too, on Market Cipher B. Back to the high, deviate the high, back in. You front ran it, but then you come back in for the full rotation, potential full rotation down to the POC. So that local range is worth looking at as well if you want to pull fixed range volume profile over that sideways consolidation. Let's see. Head and shoulders, maybe. Something like that. Potentially. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our next altcoin. It's going to be PP. Everybody loves to look at PP, guys. Can we just keep it G-rated for one stream? All right, let's take a look here. So taking a look at PP, or Pepe, as some people call it. I don't know why people call it Pepe. It's definitely PP. I mean, you're at decision time here, in my opinion. Let's pull our fib from the impulse to the high. Yep, you got the bull div into the golden pocket for a little bit of a bounce. Quick old rejection back in. I would say overall, losing this anchored VWAP, pulled from the high here, this is a very big level to reclaim. If you can continue out of this volume profile, number one, you want to stay out of that value area high because you don't want to get accepted into this range to go to the POC. Number two, you want to get above that anchored VWAP to potentially change trends, right? It's very similar to what we looked at on Bitcoin. I show this all the time. I don't want to spend the time to look at it, but this is, if you guys watch the show for any amount of time on Bitcoin, right, we had the major anchored VWAP from the top on our way to the upside here. And once we were able to flip that anchored VWAP, we were also getting above the value area low of the range. And we said, hey, once we flip above that anchored VWAP, we can flip to the, I think it was this anchored VWAP right here. Let me pull it real quick. Yeah, right here, right? Once, you lose, you have the anchored VWAP here. You stay below it, downtrend continues. Once you flip that, it does show some kind of a sign of strength to potentially change trends to the upside. And then on top of that, you have the daily money flow crossing into the green, 16-hour money flow crossing into the green. So kind of a similar setup here on Pepe, right? Like you have the anchored VWAP pulled from the high. You're coming up, you're playing with it. You really want to reclaim that to anticipate a continuation of the upside. If you lose it, based off money flow here, Market Cipher B, everything else we just looked at, getting stuck under this level would be a little bit bearish to get stuck in the range, potentially come down to the POC and the value area low. Now, you do have the, let me pull the full fib here from the low to the high. Yeah, your confluence is closer down here. You got a daily down here, POC 786. Yeah, you could watch that golden pocket potentially, which I believe is also very close to, yeah, the 786. So I would say, this is an honorable mention. But again, anytime I'm personally looking for longs, I got to treat that, right? We already got the bounce off the golden pocket. You lose the golden pocket. You're below the value area high, anchored VWAP. You're looking towards that golden pocket, that larger golden pocket, and the 786 of this fib pull, right? You lose this golden pocket. Next place for price to go is the 786. That's confluent with the full Fibonacci retracement or the full golden pocket from the low. But again, you look for a bounce here, you're kind of longing into resistance. So unless you see money flow coming up in a really, really strong way, I would anticipate that to just be some kind of a lackluster bounce to potentially put in a lower high and a lower low into the bigger area of confluence and the better place to look for long, in my opinion, which is the value area low. No guarantee we get down there, but I would just say, from a volume profile perspective, very simply, you get stuck in here, you're looking for the POC, lose the POC, go to the low. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking at on Pepe. Take a look at the weekly. Red dot confirmed. 2-day. Money flow was trying to come into the green here. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if that just winds up being a fake out. But we spent a good amount of time here in the red. Black Swan can change that. But the only reason I'd be entertaining those local levels of support is just because if that 2-day money flow continues up, right, the overall uptrend is likely to continue, which, again, you're going to be looking at your full golden pocket. If not, you might put in an aggressive higher low on the local golden pocket, right? So if you're looking for higher lows and higher highs, the full retracement does bring you down to the golden pocket for a higher low or down to the 786 for a higher low. That is in the cards. But we'll see. I don't know, man. The way Bitcoin looks, I don't know. It's sketchy, guys. It's scary. It's definitely scary. We have the bearish confirmations on the higher time frame for Bitcoin. And our opportunity to escape the retracement to 97K was to flip that 786 to support. So if we don't just yeet on out of here this week somehow and get it back above that 786, I mean, might not look good. But let's see. Shout out to D Knight said, I mean, 50% of the year has passed. 4 years have already passed. Do the math, my friends. Yeah, 4-year cycle. I mean, listen, again, I would feel much more bearish if we had already gotten QE, right? If we had gotten QE and we're putting in these highs that we're putting in right now, I'd feel a lot worse. So yeah, I'm definitely bearish, obviously, since, you know, looking for the pullback to 97K, right? With the opportunity to escape, right? But we're getting that rejection from the 786 now. That is more bearish, right? Looking for that high time frame, lower high is definitely, you know, looking like it's going to happen unless, again, we just get an instant yoink to the upside. Rejecting that 786, this is the area to look to put in the lower high for a lower low, which would be breaking structure to the downside here at about 100,300, pushing us into about 98 to 97K. But that's not necessarily bear market territory for me because, you know, say we do get a scare, right? We get a bigger dump than we even expect, and then QE comes in. Things can change very fast. But as always, you know, I'm never going to sit up here and be like, guys, anytime we come up to a high, right, I have to entertain the fact that anything can happen, right? Like up here, did I think it was the all-time high? No. Would I ever say that it's guaranteed 100% not the all-time high? Never, right? I've been humbled by this market enough times to know that what you think is going to happen is not always what's going to happen. What the TA says is going to happen is not always what's going to happen, right? You can only take the information and weigh your options and try to go with the higher probability outcome, but higher probability is never 100%. But again, you know, the TA played out perfectly here, right? High, yes. Shorted 104 and 102K, yes. Got the drop down to 85 to 75K like we looked for, yes. Put in the higher low, no bear market like we thought, yes. Could that have just dumped us into a bear market? Sure, right? Anything is possible. And yeah, I know a lot of people talk about the right translated cycle with the all-time high coming a little bit later, which in my opinion does kind of line up with the big money being in the market now. So yeah, we'll see. Again, I would be much more bearish at these highs, although I am bearish medium term to short term. But yeah, if we had QE and we just couldn't break out here, that would be much more alarming in my opinion. But could this be the top for the bear market? Sure. You know, anything's possible. Not the camp that I fall in just yet. I need more confirmation. Let's see. All right, so let's we took a look at Pepe. Let's take a look at Cardano. Bada boom. All right, so yeah, I mean, at this point, right, like still in the volume profile, you're still above your key level of support, which is the weekly MPOC, which was barely front ran here. Weekly MPOC value area low. We've already got the push into the monthly MPOC, which is nice. This was one of the coins. I'll take this golden pocket off the chart real quick. Right, so I would say like this is tapped now, right? So it's a little bit less significant. Big level, right? And this was one of the coins that we were looking at for, I think this is really what I saw this on when we were front running the bull div on the 8-hour, looking to come down into that support, lower lows on price, higher lows on your momentum waves, getting the push to the upside. You're still within your profile here. You front ran that value area low, which is kind of fine for me because we've already gotten above it, flipped it to support. You're just kind of bing-bonging around here, getting a nice little dump from above the POC. If you come down, right, value area low sitting at about 61 cents is going to be your next key level, and then underneath that, your 786 at 58 cents is going to be a big level as well, right? Maybe you put in another drive here of 8-hour bullish divergence. Maybe you get the daily bull div, very similar to what we looked at on I forget which coin. You have key support below. I'll even hide this MPOC. Right now, the untapped levels are the weekly MPOC, the value area low, and the 786. So, it's XRP is what we looked at, right? So if we get that red dot to print on the daily, you would anticipate a continuation down, but you do have key support down below. So if you can get that daily bull div, that at or below the value area low into the 786, that could be an area to get another bounce from. Once you lose that 786, as it is the 786 of this entire move up, that would be much more bearish, in which case I'd probably be looking to break this low, right? Same thing on Bitcoin, right? You would just be looking at, if you're not going to put the higher low in here, you lose this, you're looking to crack these lows. Weekly MPOC, honorable mention. I'm not saying you have to go down there, obviously. You could bounce here. But if you do lose the 786 and we take this low, in my opinion, right, I don't know. I don't think. Let me see if we have any other. Yeah, I mean, you don't have do you have any daily MPOCs before that? You do have a daily MPOC here as well. Maybe I don't have it open. Yeah, so I would drag this box down to the daily MPOC. But again, once you lose that 786, more likely to crack that low, where your next big key level is that weekly MPOC sitting at about 43 cents. So you don't want to lose this. You lose this, you might be on your way down to 43 cents. But as of right now, you're just still within your profile. So with support down below. So if you're going to look to hold the higher lows, that's the level to do it at. And not only that, right, also looking for a potential daily bull div. If you don't get the daily bull div, and again, that daily bull div is not guaranteed to give you a massive move. It depends on what the charts look like when we get down there. But that's just, as of right now, what I can see on the chart. Let's see. Shout out to Nirvana, said, for sure the worst time to sell, in my opinion. It's the biggest risk to sell now. Shout out to Nirvana. Yeah, I mean, I'm not selling. That's for sure. And again, right, like, I maybe talking about altcoins might be a different scenario, but like on Bitcoin, right, like just zoom out, right? I'm not telling Nirvana to zoom out, but like, yeah, if you're like really scared here, it's like nothing like super scary has happened. It really goes to show the emotion in crypto, right? It's like how we were able to like even front run the emotions that we would see down here, right? As we were pushing down here, people were very bearish, and I'm like, guys, imagine if we get the pullback we're looking for to 85 to 75K, or 80, I think it was 81 to 75K. Imagine the emotions there. And then you guys know what was going on down here. Everyone was like, bear market, bear market, bear market. And I felt like a complete and total nerd saying that, you know, it gets very sketchy, guys. Like, I come with you every day giving my honest thoughts on the TA, and it's like, you know, the signs were not there. Could I have been wrong? Yes. And it starts to get shaky. I'm like, man, everybody wants it to go down. Everyone thinks it's going to zero. And it's like, that's why I stick to the TA. I don't care what my general thoughts are or like my general opinion or my emotional preferences. It is always going to be the charts are the truth. All right. And the only reason, it wasn't that I was scared that, you know, it wasn't that I was just praying we were going to bounce here, right? It was all on the charts. If it was not on the charts, I would have looked for lower lows. But yeah, it just goes to show like how emotional things can be, right? Like, I know we're dumping, but you know, what do we hear from the recent high, right? 5% dump, right? That's typically when you start to see, you know, people get super emotional. Anything over a 5% dump, I notice people get pretty emotional. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Future Prophet, said, shakes, but I'll take it. Shout out to Futures. If 75K, many people will cry. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? If we're back down at 75K, I'm probably going to be fully anticipating a new low to come in on the higher time frames, right? Because again, the full, just like we're looking for a potential lower high at this level for the lower low, right? It was the same thing here, right? We were just looking at the golden pocket 786 in the opposite direction, looking for a potential higher low to be formed in this zone. Right, so a little bit more macro here. But if we do continue to crack down here below, I mean, I would say once you lose 82.4, I think, 82.4, 82.5, that's where I'm expecting not only 75K, but probably a lower low. So, yeah. But, again, if that were going to happen, right, yeah, it'll be a sticky situation down there if we did have to come down there. But, again, nothing about this pullback is making me think 75K right now. If you're just looking at that from a Fibonacci standpoint, 82.5, 82.4 is the like this would be the really scary scenario like we saw here. Everyone's super scared, but we know there's a fib level. If we get the bullish confirmations, you look for the new all-time high. We got it. Same thing here. Things get super scary and we happen to go all the way down to 82K. Do I want to see that? No. Does it make the situation very difficult? Yes, just like it was down here. I said so many times that I do not want to come test that 786, and we had to, right? But if we get the bullish confirmations down there, chances are, just like here, there's going to be signs on the chart for a reversal. If there is no sign on the chart for a reversal, higher probability would be to lose a level and break the low. So there you go. Let's see. Jesse says, Frankie Candles, I agree on that. Shout out to Jesse. I almost said Jesse Candles. Shout out to Jesse Candles. Let's go. Shout out to Nirvana, said if it was that easy. Yes, absolutely. It is never going to, I mean, like I said, even me, right? I have to come up here in front of hundreds, if not over 1,000 people and say what I think. And it's like, not gonna lie, guys, like sometimes when everyone is screaming down, those emotional, that psychology gets a little messed up. I'm like, oh God, am I the only person? And I know I'm not the only person, but it's like when you go against the crowd like that, it starts to get like, oh man, like what if I'm wrong? I mean, I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again, right? That's a guarantee. Not going to be right 100% of the time, but it gets a little sketchy down there, right? It was not an easy situation. But yeah. Shout out to D says 105K is the new 69K of 2021. Well, yeah, shout out to D. I mean, it does look similar, right? We've pulled this fractal many a times. Whoops. Right? We've pulled this fractal many a times. Not only does this look similar, right? We're going to have to obviously resize it a good bit here, right? Not only does it really wish this was like a little bit more easy to do. But yeah, like not only does this look pretty familiar, I'm not going to try to get it perfect here. It definitely does look perfect. It does look very, very similar. The weekly bearish divergence, SFP of the high, definitely looks very similar. But here's the thing, right? It also looked very similar. And like, could that end up being the top of the cycle? Like, sure, it's not impossible. But this also looked very, very similar to here, right? Just because it was the top in the past does not mean, it could mean it's a top, right? But it doesn't mean it's the all-time low, all-time high, right? Forever. Also looked very, very similar here, right? Weekly bearish divergence, SFP of the high, calling for a much bigger pullback. And we pulled this fractal all the way back here. And we literally got like almost the exact same thing to play out. So it does look, now you extend that, it is like a very, very similar topping structure. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe there's no QE, right? I would just say, like, if we get QE with no massive bounce, like, yeah, it's like just wait for a couple weeks. Once we got back in, right, no one's going to be bearish again. Or if the all-time high comes in and we're going to zero, and it is what it is. But not really what I, not the camp that I fall in, as I always say. Now, if this was happening at 137 to 140K, 100% looking a little sketchier in my opinion. That I would probably have a different tune if we were all the way up there after rate cuts come in and push us up there. Shout out to Incredible says if BTC retraces a lot, S coins will get absolutely destroyed. What a trash cycle. It's not a bull market at all for S coins. I 100% agree. 100%. I mean, this has been a Bitcoin focused cycle, obviously. But I think altcoins will probably see their day if we get the rate cuts. Hopefully. Yeah, it's been this is definitely the hardest cycle I've ever been a part of. I've been in since 2017, or technically 2016, but towards the end of 2016. This is definitely the hardest cycle. It used to be like throw a dart at a board, pick a random altcoin, get in, make $1 bazillion with like very little. It's like just buy it and they all just moon, right? If you get in at the right time. This has been a very difficult cycle. I don't think anybody was able to predict the underperformance of altcoins this cycle. But again, I mean, we're just, in my opinion, right? Like we might not necessarily just be there yet, right? Like we'll see. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with my bias. Like it worked down here, right? And again, I don't know if a lot of people do this on YouTube, right? And I'm always gonna be fully transparent with you guys. I can be wrong. I know we're right way more than we're wrong here. But nobody is magical. Not me. Not anybody, right? No one knows 100% where this thing is going to go. So I'm going to stick with my bias here. I think we can definitely get a big pullback, right? But even if that happens, I don't think that means cycle over. We dumped down to 97K. People are going to be like, "What? I thought the cycle wasn't over." And it's like, well, hey, it might not be, right? Come down to 97K, bounce off that macro POC. You can put a higher low in. Come down to 87K. You can put a higher low on the macro value area low, right? It's like, it might not be over. It just it might not be up in a straight line forever yet. When it happens, it will very likely happen, right? It's almost like back here, right? It was just like, oh my God, this thing's never going to stop. The one thing that I don't like about the, I don't know, president launches a meme coin. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, let's see. Shout out to Vegas Claw said this cycle can kiss peaches. Absolutely. I think at some point, guys, we're going to go more towards a traditional asset, right? Where this thing just stops having massive bear markets and massive bull markets and just slowly chops to the upside. Like the S&P, right? Like it eventually is going to look like this, right? You'll have like a massive correction sometimes, but eventually I do think Bitcoin is going to end up looking like this. If the theory of Bitcoin, the whole master plan of Bitcoin comes true, right? Which I think is very, very likely. So yeah. CME gap at 104.7. Yes, absolutely. We do have the CME gap at 104.7. Where's it at? Yeah, right about here. Yeah, CME gap about 104.7. That's another key level, right? And again, it does get close to our local levels of support down here. So it just gets really difficult down there, guys, right? Like, you can long it, right? I'll be looking for longs, but they're going to be very, I get up here, I'm like, okay, it's like, what do the charts look like? Is it a lower high and a lower low? Or am I taking profit, moving my stop loss to break even? Or are we going to break out here for a big move up? I would say right now, until we get the bigger, higher time frame weekly candle close above that 786, that is your, if you want to escape that pullback to 97K, right? You got to get above that 786. Otherwise, it is looking like we could put the lower high in here for that pullback to 97K. And that's why I always bring up these lower levels on every stream, even when we're coming up, right? I always try to mute the super, super bullishness, even when we pop to the upside. It's like, hey, this is nice, this is bullish, but understand we still have a big doorway to get above. So we'll see what happens. Definitely still in the cards here. Especially for that weekly red dot prints with the rejection of that 786. Let's see. Bitcoin will follow gold. Yeah, I think eventually it will as well. All right, a lot of people say, Bitcoin can't be the future. It's too slow. In my opinion, I agree with that, right? I don't think we're going to be penguin stuff with Bitcoin. I guess you could use a Lightning Network or whatever, but there's so many other better things out there that could be used for payment, right? And that's where you would see very likely the shift from Bitcoin start to shift to a store of value. I don't think we're there just yet, but I think eventually that does wind up being the case, right? I love when people try to argue it'll never be the future of money. Bitcoin, it's too slow. And it's I don't know. I never thought, right? Maybe early on in the days, right? You think oh, we're going to pay with Bitcoin one day. But then you start to think the transaction time. And then sure, you have the Lightning Network, sure. But I do think, right, something else will take over payments. And then Bitcoin will just be the gold. It's the same exact thing that happened to gold. It's okay, cool. This gold is it's good money. But then eventually it's it gets cumbersome to carry around, right? And it's just not the most efficient way to pay for things. So they make cash, right? Hopefully it doesn't wind up being another Ponzi scheme like the USD. But it's kind of the same thing. It's gold was not the best thing for payments, and they moved to cash, right? You can hold a lot more cash in your pocket than you can gold. It's the same thing with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin doesn't really make sense to be the actual payment thing, right? I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it could just be turned into more of a store of value, right? That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong. Let's see. XRP, XLM, HBAR, ISO coins. Yeah. Hey, shout out to Salinda. You might be onto something there. XRP will take over payments. I think that's, have you ever used XRP? I don't see why that wouldn't be. But again, it's going to be what the powers want it to be, right? Hopefully, if it's XRP, that'd be great. But yeah, I think it will be something like that. I think XRP is a good argument. I think XLM, I think all that stuff is, maybe XRP is cross-border, XLM is peer-to-peer. I don't know. No one ever talks BNB, Bitcoin Cash, and Tron, but those have done very well. Yeah. We can take a look at Tron real quick. Shout out to Crypto Boyo. Yeah, I'll be honest. Tron moves very weirdly. This is a hard chart to just do really, really nice sound TA on. We did reject our daily MPOC, so I guess it is trading technically 786 daily MPOC. You get the dump. But yeah, Bitcoin Cash and BNB. Yeah, BNB I feel is usually an early mover, to be honest. Take me a long time to pull it side by side up on stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe BNB is typically an early mover. Let's just compare it in 2021. Take a look. All right, let's see. The real breakout started on January, basically January 31st. Take a look at something I don't know, Cardano. I guess it all kind of moves the same. But yeah, let's see here. Yeah, shout out to Luke, said 99% of cryptos will dissipate. Stick to a top few. Yeah, shout out to Luke. I will say my crypto holdings have definitely narrowed down here, guys. Again, like as the asset class matures in general, it's kind of like the dot-com bubble, right? Like there was a time where you could just put .com at the end of your name and it was like, boom, explosion, right? But like a lot of those companies aren't around anymore, right? And like the big ones stick around. It's going to be very similar with crypto. Shout out to Felix. What is going on, bro? He says, yo, Frankie, what's good, bro? With trading, my ideas are spot on, but execution is poor and my account is staying the same. I have a few wins, then stupid losses. Shout out to Felix. Number one, your account staying the same is honestly an accomplishment, right? If your account is not tanking, keeping it the same, I think there are steps, right? You go from like losing all your money to like break even, right? If you become a break even trader, that's an accomplishment, right? Because you're not revenge trading, you're not chewing up your accounts, you're not blowing up your accounts, you're not getting liquidated. Becoming a break even trader, in my opinion, is something to celebrate, right? Because it shows that you're keeping your discipline, you're using risk management, right? You're only taking good trades, and the ones that aren't good trades, you're stopping out when you should on the invalidation. So number one, I would pat yourself on the back there, Felix. This is, I always say this, right? Sound, like really good technical analysis does not always instantly turn into massive profits, right? TA and trading are two totally separate skills. Yes, they go together. You can't have one without the other, but they are two totally separate skills. I would say 20% TA, the rest is, 20% TA, the rest is the actual management of the trades, the psychology, the emotional discipline, having the risk management. The TA is like, obviously it's important, right? But like, all day long, you can find key levels, get bounces, be like, oh, we bounced off my key level, or, oh, I got this confirmation, I got the bounce off the key level. That doesn't always, when you get into the trade, you have money on the line. That's when you feel the emotion, right? That's when the psychology really starts to test you. So I would say, like, dude, you're kind of just right on track with like the journey of a trader, right? It's like you nail down the TA, it starts to do really well. You start to trade it, right? You probably start losing all your money, and eventually you start to build the trading muscle. The TA muscle and the trading muscle are two separate things. It's like if you're good at TA, can you win more trades than if you're not good at TA? Yes. But if you don't build the muscles of trading and actually managing the discipline and managing the trades, taking your profits, moving your stop loss, not holding your trades to liquidation, right? Not averaging into a position until it bounces, right? You need both of those skills, right? It's like if you go to the gym, you could go to the gym and work out and you could be really good with your form and stuff. But if you're not eating good, if you're not sleeping good, if you're not doing cardio, you're not going to get the best results, right? So it's like the diet is one skill. It has nothing to do with lifting weights. Like you could eat chicken and lift weights, or you can eat cheeseburgers and lift weights. You could eat candy and lift weights, right? They're two separate things. You have to get the diet right, and then you have to get the form right and the discipline of getting to the gym every day, going to the gym when you're tired. Right. And I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite here talking about that because I don't currently go to the gym consistently. But I have in the past, I have gone to the gym for years straight. And that's my experience, right? It's very similar to trading. Working out and trading are very comparable in that way. There's no shortcut to working out. There's no shortcut to trading, right? You can't just get a magic indicator and get rich overnight. You can't just watch some YouTuber copy their trades and get rich overnight, right? Because they're not there to manage the trade for you. They're not there to give you the discipline, and they're definitely not there to take the emotion out of your brain. And the emotion's never going to leave you. You're always going to feel that emotion. I still feel emotion. It's the discipline to not act on it, right? When I took my scalp long earlier today that I got stopped out of, right? It was a loss, right? And I didn't even get stopped out in profit. Typically the case, right? More often than not, we get the price to move enough to take some profit, move the stop loss to break even. But I actually got stopped out in a loss today. And the beauty, not the beauty of it, but the reason that was still a good trade is because I followed my rules, right? I had my invalidation, right? We were right on the TA, right? We had the bullish divergences, even though they were a bit lackluster, right? We came down to the key level. We got the confirmations, and we got the move up, right? It was about from wick to wick, about 1.8%, right? From my entry, it was about like 1.5%. But I didn't just like, as we came down, I'm not just like, okay, average back in, average back in, average back in. Could you do that and it works out? Sure. But once that trade was invalidated, which for this specifically was holding the 786, right? Even told the Discord, hey guys, if we lose that 786, I'm going to be looking down towards the 105K zone, right? What happened? We lost that 786. We went down to the 105K zone, right? So when I get down there, I'm stopping myself out. I'm seeing the loss of money, right? I'm in the red. I'm not just saying like, oh, let me move my stop loss down. Maybe it'll bounce. Maybe it'll bounce. Maybe it'll bounce. I stick to my plan. I say, okay, let me cut that. I'll take a small loss, and then we go back down to the next zone, right? If we get confirmations down here, we'll take another long. If not, we wait for the next zone, right? Or maybe even look for shorts on the way up if we get a retracement. So it's a good trade because I listen to my rules, right? And that will help me over time, right? If I just keep doing that over time, not more often than not, but over enough time, right, that will keep you profitable. You're taking small losses and high probability trades, and you're taking bigger wins, hopefully. But two totally separate skills. You could have the TA to say, hey, I have a key level of support down here. I'm going to long it, right? And then you long it, but you don't understand where the invalidation is. You start to get annoyed. You're like, oh my God, I'm just going to move my stop loss down. That emotional feeling is the skill of trading, right? The TA is separate. Hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully it helps somebody out there that's learning how to trade. Just understand it takes time to build that muscle. And very often you have to pay the market your tuition to actually experience those emotions. Paper trading can only get you so far because there's no emotions in paper trading. It can help you with execution, looking for confirmations, practicing on the exchange. Like Blowfin and Femex have like perfect demo trading features that are one-to-one to the exchange. You can get, if you're just totally new to leverage trading, you can get used to how your leverage affects your liquidation, all that good stuff without taking risk. But at some point, you're going to have to put risk on to feel those emotions. And it's very, in my opinion, it's unavoidable to not lose money in the beginning because of that reason. You could be fire at TA, but if you've never had money on the line and manage those emotions, it takes time to like mess it up and then try to fix it, and then mess it up again, try to fix it, mess it up again. And I think that's where most people give up, right? But you're never going to be able to make a bunch of money from a laptop or you're in your house or wherever you are, right? You're never going to be able to like sit on a computer and make money. It's never going to be that easy. If it's too good to be true, it's probably not, right? So it takes hard work. You're never going to win every single trade. It's very difficult and it's very discouraging. But it's those who stick through it and actually understand the mistakes they make, take full accountability, and then try to fix those mistakes. For me, I had to try to fix the mistakes, and I'd be like, all right, I'm not going to make that mistake again. And I would just screw it up again, and I would screw it up again. I literally got bored. It wasn't even like I was losing. I didn't really have too much money, right? So I wasn't like blowing up 10K accounts or anything like that. But it wasn't even the loss of money that was hurting me. It was just the monotony of just doing the same thing over and just not seeing any change that I was forced to make a change. And then miraculously, I became break even. Oh, then all of a sudden I went into a trade. I took some profit, moved my stop loss to break even. I made $50. It didn't change my life overnight. I didn't make $1,000 a day. I didn't make $5,000 a day. I didn't make $10,000 in one trade. But I noticed, I made some money. And then you keep practicing and you keep practicing. And you might even go through a bad week or a bad month, but you keep at it, right? And then eventually you're like, okay, now I feel confident because if this, I'm going to put a little more on in this trade. Now I'm building up my account. I can put in a bigger position size. Oh, now I made $100 in a day. That's cool. Oh, now I made 200. Now I have 500. Now I made 1,000, right? That's how you build it up. There's literally no way to avoid that, in my opinion, right? Like, I don't know anybody that ever got into trading and just started getting rich overnight after watching a tutorial or even after a month of learning how to trade. It takes time. It's like any skill in life. Any high value skill takes time. Working out, going to school, right? I dedicated 4 years of my life, even more, to college and tons of money, right? And I never questioned it. Right, I was just like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, right? I never really questioned it. I didn't care that I was going into debt. And, like, it's the same thing with trading. You have to give up that market tuition. It's very important. But anyway, hopefully that helps you out there if you're learning how to trade. And if you are, you're in the right place. I will always keep it 100% transparent with you guys. And, I'm never going to sugarcoat it and tell you can get rich overnight. But listen, trading can change your life, but it's not for the faint of heart. And that should make you excited, because if it was just get rich quick scheme, probably not going to get rich. I've tried every get rich quick scheme in the book. Drop shipping, Amazon FBA. I actually made money with that. But if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. Before I go, I will just say this, guys. I've said this on the stream before, but if you're new here, I've tried so many different business models. I've tried so many ways of making online money, and most of them are scams. And the one I made money with was Amazon FBA, right? And even that was sold to me as a get-rich-quick scheme. And this is why I'm so transparent on this channel about, like, would I get more people to just jump into my Discord if I could tell you that it was easy and you just follow my trades and make $1 billion? Yes. But would I be lying? Yes. And I won't do that. I feel responsibility. I have morals, right? I like to sleep well at night knowing that I'm providing value, so I'll never do that. And when I did Amazon FBA, it got shilled to me as a get-rich-quick scheme. Oh, make $5,000 a month with 1 hour of work a week. Was that a scam? Yes. The scam was that you can't make $5,000 a month unless, like, I don't know, unless something I don't know about, you can't make $5,000 a month with putting 1 hour work in a week, right? Like it's just unrealistic. It's too good to be true, and it was. But I noticed people were making money, and I wound up making good money with Amazon FBA. But guess what? It wasn't 1 hour a week. It took me like 12-hour days every day until I built it to the point where I could finally like make some passive income selling those products. But even then, you have to maintain it, right? It just took a lot more work than I don't even want to say scammers, but like the influencers will push to you that you could just get rich overnight. And I wound up making money. And that's why I always say, like, I bought courses. Some of them were scams. Some of them weren't, right? The one that wasn't a scam to me was the one that said, hey, you're not going to get rich overnight. But if you do this and you learn this model and you know, they give you all the sauce, right? And you stick with it. And I failed. I lost money on products. I was losing money. I had to borrow. I went through the whole thing. But eventually, I stuck with it. And I said, this is going to take a long time to do. This is going to take hard work. I'm not trying to get rich overnight. If I can make $1,000 a month in the next year or two, then I'll be building something. And I stuck with it. And eventually, it wound up happening a little faster than that. But it was not as easy as they said it was. But that did not mean it's a scam. Day trading is not a scam. Crypto is not a scam. It's just not as easy as people like to shill on the internet. And I will never, ever, 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 ever do that on my channel. I like to be honest, and I like to genuinely help people. I measure my success on the success of the Mafia, not off of how many people I have in my Discord, how many subscribers I have, or anything like that. So with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time I got for today's live stream. Went on a little bit of a random rant there, but we're going over time here. But if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. We did talk about crypto the whole stream. That was just a little rant. But yeah, with all that being said, that's all the time I got for tonight's live stream. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I will see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Please, for the love of God, I don't know, watch for the next move to the downside. Hopefully we can just scam out of here somehow, but right now Market Cypher B is pointing to the downside, but I'll keep you guys updated tomorrow. If anything crazy happens, I'll drop a market update earlier in the day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
I don't know who said it, but somebody said they look for bull divs and bear divs and they lose every time. I'm going to give you a little bit of sauce here. Not all bull divs and bear divs are created equal. I wish it was as easy as just longing and shorting bull divs and bear divs, but I'm going to give you an example here of when bull divs and bear divs play out and don't play out, right? Right here, we had a daily bullish divergence, right? But context is always going to be king, right? We had lower lows on our price action, higher lows on our momentum waves. Is that a bull div? Yes. Does it almost always give you some kind of a move up? Yes. But these strong bull divs, right? Context is always going to be king. And back here, we looked for a bounce at this level, but the context of the market was money flow in the red. The overall idea is lackluster bounces for lower highs and lower lows, right? So we did catch some nice longs here for that bounce to the upside, but we knew that the overall anticipation was going to be lower highs and lower lows. So you have to treat that as a little bit more of like a shorter term trade, or just understand that it might not be the strongest thing ever. But when are the bull divs more strong? Well, here, right, not only did this have money flow coming into the red, but you also, it was kind of local, right? Like you said, it's like a little mini bull div. But once you put that next drive of bullish divergence in, right, lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves, you get a bigger bull div here, and money flow starts to come to the upside on the daily. This is more this points more towards a big bull div, right? Because you're not only looking at the bullish divergence as a reversal signal, just like it was here. It was a reversal signal, but not for a massive change in trend. And that is because the money flow is coming out. Money flow will always indicate the longer term trend. Or if you're not using money flow, you could just look at your market structure, right? But when you see this next bull div, you have money flow coming up. You've come into your final key level of support where you're likely to put in a higher low for a higher high to come in. And then that's your context here, making this a much stronger bull div. And you could say to yourself, hey, I have the bull div. I can't really see, right? You could say that you're trending up with money flow here a little bit, but it's not that clear. But oftentimes, if you go down to lower time frames, like if you step it down to, say, the 16-hour, you could see here that money flow was already trying to fight into the green as you put that daily bull div in, right? Daily bull div comes in down here. 16-hour money flow crosses into the green. Anytime you have money flow coming up, my point here is that context is always going to be king. So yeah, that might be why, I forgot who said it, but shout out to you. That might be why you're not having a great success looking at the bull divs. The context is always going to be king. Like I said, it's not going to be as easy as looking for a bull div or a bear div. You have to understand market structure. You have to understand, money flow, or just whatever you're looking at. You have to understand the overall market, and that comes with time. So hopefully that helps you out. Just wanted to dish out a little bit more free sauce, but with all that being said, I got to get out of here, guys. I can smell Mrs. Candle's cooking. I can smell when Mrs. Candle's hands are cooking. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candle's out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know, on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up.